Alright, this is John Cola with GrowingYourGreens.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you and coming at you from my backyard garden. My backyard garden is lush and beautiful here in the winter, growing all my amazing leafy greens. Over on this side, I don't know if you guys can see, we got the tatsoi, we got different collard greens and kale and cauliflower over there. Over here we have a nice bit of spinach. Over behind me here we have arugula. Behind me there we have bok choy, and behind me there we have collard greens and cabbage and Brussels sprouts, all kinds of cool stuff growing on. Now, as much as I plant new crops, one of the things I like to do besides harvest my crops to eat is I love to harvest and save my seeds. And I get questions all the time, John, how do I save seeds? And saving seeds, people, is not rocket science. It's really easy. Just let nature do all the work. And that's what I do. So seed saving is really good for lazy gardeners, because half the time if you're a lazy gardener, like I can be sometimes because it's all about priorities in the garden, you know, your plants are just going to grow and grow until they're going to reach the end of their life cycle. And then they will produce seeds automatically. You don't have to tell them, plant, you need to make some seeds for me. They're just going to do it. If I get in bed with the girl, my girlfriend, I know what to do. We're going to make some babies. You know what I'm saying? And I don't need to be told what to do, right? And that's how plants are. So you guys just need to let the plants go through their motions and have their fun in life, and then collect and save their seeds. So in this episode, what I thought I'd do with you guys here in the winter, because after the summer season, you know, things generally go for the season on annual crops. They basically go through their baby stage. You know, like we have baby spinach. It grows up into bigger spinach. And then as it gets larger, it actually goes into its reproductive stages and makes the flower. Like if you eat broccoli, the broccoli flower is what we eat. But then actually if you let that broccoli flower go up and get bigger, it actually turns into little individual flowers, which then get pollinated, which then turns into the seeds. And actually that's what my tatsoi over here, some of my plants are actually doing early. So I've been eating a lot of that stuff lately. And they're going to be making some seeds for me. But I thought I'd share with you guys like 10 different seeds and how easy it is to share without any kind of rocket science, without any kind of mumbo jumbo. And seed saving is pretty easy in all these situations. It's pretty much just being a lazy gardener, like I am. Well, not naturally, but I'm just so busy it's that I can't do everything in my garden. You know, I try to do as much as I can. But anyways, so let's get into the fundamentals of seed saving, right? So here we go in my little containers here. In my containers, or these pots, I basically planted dandelion greens. So instead of planting dandelion greens in a raised bed, I don't want to waste the space. These guys grow really well in a small contained space, but also they provide me dandelions to eat year round. Dandelions are an amazing food. I would encourage you guys to grow them as a food. These ones came in wild and they just started growing themselves, and I just would pluck them up and put them in my pots. And even if they come up in my raised beds these days, I pluck them and then put them in pots and repopulate the pot so I could have year-round dandelions, because they are so good for your liver. The whole plant is edible, the leaves, the roots, the stems, the stalks, the flowers. It's all amazing. And you guys could go out to nature and harvest your own dandelion seeds. How it happens is actually basically is that it makes these the flowers here, and when these flowers open up, you guys can see at the bottom of the base. Now this is not a ready flower, so I'm harvesting this a little bit early. But these guys open up and they make the little things that you want to blow. And at the bottom of these things you blow, if you look carefully. Now these are not fully developed. You know, on the attached to these little blower puffy things. They're not blowing right now. But these are the little seeds. So if you just go out to any dandelions, you could just collect the flower when it's fully open, not closed like this, because these are a little bit immature. Collect the seeds and then take them and put them in your garden, take them in a pot to grow them yourself. You know, I believe cultivated wild foods are the best foods. So what does that mean? You want to harvest foods from the wild that have just been grown wild, and then cultivate them under optimal conditions with the best soil practices. So good compost, rock dust, you know, worm castings, and highly nutritious soil. And then you're going to have the best of both worlds, the best of wild genetics and the best of high nutrient dense foods. And so yeah, that's how you would collect your dandelion seeds. Let's go ahead and move on to 9 other crops that are now waiting for me in my garden for the seeds to be collected. So in this next raised bed, actually, it's one of the beds that I haven't really replanted yet for the new winter season. It still kind of has the summer stuff, which includes lots of different herbs, hot and spicy oregano, parsley along the bottom, some rue, some tree collard, some celery, some Swiss chard. but it has a few things that I haven't cleaned up yet and collected the seeds for. So I thought I'd share with you guys collecting seeds on these 3 crops here, mostly herbs actually. So right here what we have left is of what's left of my basil plants. And the basils, you know, will grow the leaves that we eat, but people don't know you could also eat the basil flowers, which are actually quite good and delicious. But then once it goes to flower, it creates seeds. So the seeds, if we take a look, we'll go ahead and snip this guy off, are basically right here. You can see this is like the stem, and then it makes the flowers, and these seeds are contained inside these little sacks. It's like a nut sack. But basically we pull off one of these sacks, and then carefully we could open this sack up and squeeze them. And I don't know if you guys could see that in my hand there, but now we have these little tiny black seeds. And it's these seeds are the basil seeds that now you could grow out for next season. So we got a bunch of these. So I'm just gonna spread it in my garden and let them grow next year if they decide to come up or not. You know, a lot of times I may collect the seeds, share them with others, plant them in specific places, plant them out, you know, in my greenhouses before the season starts, get them going strong, and then transplant them out. But many times if I don't really feel like collecting the seeds, or in this case I don't have too many left, I'll just basically spread them out, tear open the plants in their place, and spread the seeds. So I'm helping the plant out, spread its seeds. And let me tell you, one of the things I like to do is spread my seeds. All right. So also in this bed, we got a couple more things. So let me go ahead and reposition the camera and show you guys some seeds that I actually will be saving this year. So the next seeds I'll be sharing with you guys on how to save is onion seeds. Like, seed saving, it's super easy. You just have to open your eyes and look for little seeds or black things or whatever color they come in or any shape, and collect them. So what we're looking at here is my onion plant. They send up these nice beautiful flowers. They make those small little bouquets of flowers, and those flowers are edible. I love them, whether they're, you know, from garlic or onions. They're all amazing. And in this bouquet of flowers here, I don't know if you guys could see here. Let's see, a lot of these seeds have actually dropped out. I think this one's pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and pluck this stem off. And this is a little bouquet of flowers, and each one of the flowers, I don't know if you guys could see that, but they open up and they create little black specks or little black seeds inside each flower. So it's our job to come in afterwards, and you could blow them out and sift them in your garden so you have onions coming up wild. And you know, one of my goals as a gardener, and as I try to do hands-off gardening, which I'm not quite fully there yet, is to have systems in place where the plants will go to seed, they'll drop seed, and they'll just continue to grow on their own without me having to do any intervention. So I have a few raised beds that does occur where the plants just keep coming up on their own. I don't have to keep, you know, replanting them. But most of my beds actually I replant year after year. So we're gonna go ahead and save these seeds. So I just have a little plastic container here that I'm reusing, and we're just gonna go ahead and take these and just rub it out and shake them, and just with a little bit of force and cajoling, come out of their seeds. All the seeds, you know, come out of here, and now I have some seeds in my container here. So we're just gonna go ahead and do that to the rest of these plants and these dried up flowers to get all the seeds. All right, so looks like we got a bunch of the seeds collected, and you know, I have used things like kitchen, you know, sieves and whatnot to strain out my seeds and whatnot, and maybe in an upcoming episode I'll show you the tools I use to actually strain out all the chaff and you know, sort out the seeds. One of the things I like to do, because generally seeds are heavier than the chaff and all the plant parts, is gently rotate this and blow. And sometimes you'll blow off a lot of the smaller stuff. I do recommend, you know, when you guys are saving your seeds, bagging them up, try not to save them with any kind of extra, you know, plant material, just the seeds, because the plant material may be diseased or decayed, and there may be issues in this climate here because it's so dry. That's not really an issue, but I just want to save the seeds without all the extra stuff in it. Next in this bed, let's go ahead and show you guys how to save some parsley seed. So now I'm going to show you guys how to harvest the next seed that I'll be harvesting today, and it's about actually a little bit taller than I am. Parsley. Parsley you may think of as like an herb that, you know, goes on the side of your steak or something at the steakhouse or something. But to me, it's actually one of my vegetables. I don't even consider it a herb because I'll just basically come out, cut a whole bunch of parsley, chop it up with some avocado, some sprouted buckwheat, and some garlic that's like crushed up. And that's a little salad to me. I mean, around the world, they make tabbouleh salads and stuff, which is based around parsley. And I want to encourage you guys to eat copious amounts of parsley because it is such a nutritious food that unfortunately in America is often only seen as a garnish. But to me, it's like the main part of my salad many times, and I really love the flavor of the parsley. Anyways, if you let your parsley grow, no longer does it stay, you know, a foot tall or something. It grows 8 feet. No, well, this is not quite 8 feet. This is about 6 feet tall here, and it's gone to its flower stage. So, you know, generally when plants go to the flower stage on the greens, they send up a shoot that grows really tall. Now, why would they do this? Have you ever thought about that? Well, I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, the reason why they send up their shoots very tall is so that they could get as high as they can so that they could look out amongst all the other plants. Well, no. They want to get as tall as they can because they produce the seeds, and when the winds come, right, it'll blow their seeds further than if they're closer to the ground, and this will, you know, basically provide them a better chance of survival and spreading their seeds. And after all, that's what every plant and every creature on earth wants to do. It wants to reproduce. So anyways, this thing's quite tall, and now because it is so tall, I don't have to crouch down, duck down, kneel down. I could just stand up and literally just have a little, once again, another container, another bin, and just go over the top and literally just squeeze the seeds right off. And I'm going to collect some seeds, and I'm going to collect some plant matter. But I mean, really, it's this easy. Now, here's one of the caveats. I mean, in my climate here, which is a nice arid, dry climate, it's amazing for collecting seeds, right? Because we don't get a lot of rain, and if it does rain, it dries out very fast. In some climates, like if you live in the Northeast and whatnot, and it snows and it rains and it gets cold, you know, you better collect your seeds and stuff before it gets rained on and all this stuff, because you could have your seeds go bad on you, which is not fun. So in that case, what you want to do is you probably want to harvest. You know, I would just basically cut off pieces of the plants here, probably like this, near the top with all the seed area, and just take like these big bouquets inside, kind of like this, and give them to your wife. Here, honey, I got you some flowers. I mean, some seeds. And you could take them inside when they're still, you know, fully mature. So you want to make sure they're browned out and there's seeds on there. You don't want to harvest stuff too early, because if the seed's not fully mature, you know, they may not grow into plants, which is the desired outcome. I know when these guys are fully mature because they're totally brown and the seeds are just blowing off in the wind like they're supposed to. But now I'm just go ahead and collect them. But anyways, you're going to want to cut these off, bring them inside, you know, put them in a sunny greenhouse where the moisture can evaporate off, and then save your seeds when they're fully dry. If you save your seeds when they're still wet, they could mold inside the bag. It's not fun, and they're going to go bad, so it's not good. You want them fully dry, so you could also dry them and dehydrate if they're not fully dry. But I like to let them dry in nature as they would naturally whenever possible. So we're just going to go ahead and get the rest of these seeds by taking my hand and just putting this over the container and letting these go down and get caught in container. And of course, you know, if you're lazy like I am many times and you don't even want to save your seeds, but you do want to save your seeds, right? You don't want to save your seeds in little bags and envelopes. The best way to save your seeds is just take it over the raised bed. You want to have celery next year, and go like this. And then once I got the stalks, then this just goes in to the compost. Super simple, super easy, and next year I'm gonna have a lot of parsley in this bed, and I'll be looking forward to it. So you guys just saw me harvest the mature parsley, and now what I want to show you guys is actually lower on the plant. It's not fully done with this flowering cycle. Depending on the plant, certain parts of the plant, the seeds may be ripe and ready to be harvested, and other parts of the plant, it may not be ready. So, you know, unlike conventional agriculture, when they go in and just wipe out a whole fruit orchard and take down all the fruit, they're not all ripe and perfect at the right time. And that's why I encourage you guys to selectively harvest your fruits at their peak ripeness, and also your vegetables at their peak ripeness, but also your seeds. So I wouldn't just go through here and harvest and cut down the whole plant unless, of course, maybe a frost was impending and it was going to get too cold and hurt this plant or something. But here, this thing will grow year round because we don't get too cold. But in any case, on this plant here, you know, there's some, this is the same plant that I just harvested from at a lower point. You know, there's still areas of the plant, and You know, this is an area where it's actually still just about going to flower. If you guys could see that, I don't know if you guys could see that, but this is in the same family as celery and carrots and whatnot. And up over in this area, it looks like they've not only gone from the flower stage, but now they're forming the little seeds. And we don't want to harvest these immature seeds yet, you know, just much like, you know, a baby, when a baby's being born, it needs to be in the womb, you know, human baby, for 9 months. And sometimes they have to deliver the baby prematurely, and a lot of times, you know, the baby will be all right if it's a little bit premature, but if it's too premature, it's not going to make it. Same thing with the seeds. If the seeds are harvested too early, they're too premature, and they will never turn in and be able to reproduce. You know, so we want to wait as long as we can and leave it on the plant to let it fully develop properly. And like the question is, John, how do you know when a seed's fully developed? Well, the thing is, if you take the plant and you could just blow it and you see seeds dropping off, guess what? The plant is ready to give you its seeds, and it's ready to share its seeds with you. And you could help it in nature to spread its seeds and do it a favor, and we could all work in unity on this planet instead of fighting each other, right? So work in harmony with your plants, save your seeds, and help them out by spreading their message. So now I'm going to share with you guys how to save a seed of an uncommon vegetable that you guys can easily grow and eat the roots. And what this is called right here, you guys could see this whole patch here basically, but it was so strong that it actually shoved out one of my raised bed blocks that was holding the raised bed, so it actually could grow out. This has probably been one of the most productive, easiest to take care of food sources that I'm growing here in the desert. This is known as Canna Adalis or Akira, and this grows like these leaves here. This one, most of it was affected by the frost, but these low-hanging ones that were protected by all the stems and stalks that didn't make it. Here's another one, kind of frost damaged. But they don't like the cold weather, but the roots stay alive during the winter due to their high sugar content, and then they're going to actually start to come back in the spring, and they grow nice banana-like foliage or leaves. The part that's edible is down here. It's these like the root area, and they're basically a high source of starch. So these starches, unlike most starches that are roots, can be eaten either raw or cooked. And you know, I can't say I've eaten a lot of them. I maybe ate it once, but I hope to have an episode soon where I actually cook these guys up, because I have so many. It's been so prolific here. I really grow this mostly for the decoration, because this does look like an ornamental crop. So if you're trying to like fit in ornamentals but have edibles at the same time, this would be something probably you could easily grow in your front yard, and it would just look like a decorative plant. But little does the city know that you're growing food. So that's why I like it. Now, saving the seeds, they grow up into these nice, long, tall stalks. Some of them were about 10 feet tall this year. And at the top, they make these little flowers, and then they make the little seeds. So I don't have any fresh ones to show you guys, but I have the dried ones here. And this is kind of what they look like at the top once they're dried out. So, you know, once again, you know when the seed's ready, when it's dried out. And basically it makes these like little, I don't know if you guys know what a durian is, a durian fruit. These are like little durian things. They got like these little spikes, but they're not really sharp. Here's one that looks pretty good. And then what happens is inside these little pods or fruits, they make a little seed. So I don't know if you guys could see the little black seed in there, but we'll go ahead and pop that into my hand here. Well, there's a few in there. Oops, that one fell. There's one. Oh, they keep falling out my hand. All right, there's another one. I keep dropping them. All right, so let's go ahead and pick these guys up. So these are little seeds of the Canna Adalis. I got 3 seeds there. They look like little black BBs to me. And one of the cool things, I want to get like a little BB gun that'll take these kind of BBs and go out into nature and just fire them off into nature, and I'll be spreading seeds. That'd be really cool. I like these seeds a lot, and then these will actually grow into the canna. Which is mostly propagated, if you're propagating these guys, actually by the roots, actually, you know, by root divisions, and not necessarily the seeds, but the seeds are something easy to save, and I really like them because they could probably be used for artwork and all kinds of cool stuff. I don't know, they remind me of like little cannonballs or something. Anyways, that's how you save the Canna Adalis seeds. Let's go ahead and move on to a couple more crops in this bed that I haven't yet prepared, you know, and transitioned over to my winter crops yet. Got 2 more seeds, and I'll show you guys how to save. So now I'm going to go ahead and get into sharing some more seeds with you guys on crops that you may not know about, and that in my opinion should be up-and-comers that you might want to grow in your garden, and that should be known about. But these principles that I'm sharing with you guys, I mean, as you guys could see, like when I harvest seeds, they're like always brown, they're dry, and they're ready to fall off on their own. I mean, seed saving, once again, is not rocket science. Don't be scared of saving seeds. The worst thing that's going to happen if you save seeds that are immature, you save them, and then you try to plant them out, they don't grow into plants for next year. And that's all right, you've learned something. Now also be aware that some plants you must do what's called stratify. So what that means is, in nature, plants go through cycles, and the weather goes through cycles. It goes from hot to cold to hot again. And the plants know when, the seeds know when it's the temperature out there. They have built-in thermometers, and they know if it's been cold or hot and whatnot. And some seeds actually need to be stratified, or what that means is they need to go from the hot weather to the cold weather to like freezing weather, and then back to the warm weather, and that's when they know they should germinate and start growing. So, whether you want to be lazy like I am and leave the seeds outside to stratify on their own outside, or whether you want to take the seeds, harvest them, and then, for example, put them in your refrigerator to, give them some cold weather to make them think it's cold, and then grow those out, you could also do that as well. So the next seed I want to collect is actually right here. I don't know if you guys can see this plant behind me, but this is known as my Ashitaba plant. And if you look on there closely, like, John, those seeds aren't ready to be harvested, man, they're still green. So yes, you're right, those seeds are green, and I'm not really going to harvest those guys. But on this little section right here, for some reason, some of the seeds are actually falling off. So what I do then is I just go ahead and shake the plant lightly and see which ones fall off into my hands, and then those are the ripe ones ready to be harvested. So these ones, they're still falling up, but they're still green, so they may or may not be fully mature. So I do have another video where actually I'll post a link down below where I really harvest ripe and ready Ashitaba seeds that are ready to be harvested because they are brown. Also, they should be of the proper size as well. And Ashitaba is one of my favorite medicinal vegetables because it has so many healing properties, and I believe every American should be growing and eating some of this on a regular basis for its rich yellow chalcones, which have been shown to be anti-disease, like anti-cancer and all this stuff. Today, I'm just going to go ahead and spread these guys out since they're not fully ready to be harvested, and if I get some coming up in this bed, that'd be great because this is my bed dedicated to growing some Ashitaba. Here in the desert, it does fine. This is growing in part shade, and they grow amazingly. And the next plant I want to harvest the seeds from is right next door, but we're going to go ahead and move over to an area where I have a lot more of these seeds. They're actually known as the water pepper. So the next plant I want to harvest seeds from is right here. This is known as the water pepper, and it's called water pepper because I guess it likes to grow in moist areas, and it tastes like hot pepper. And it doesn't make any kind of fruits or anything like that, but these leaves here, when they're fresh, they're no longer fresh, they're dried now naturally. They're actually quite hot and spicy, and it reminds me of eating hot peppers. I've never tried a dried leaf. Let's make sure there's no bugs in this dried leaf. All right, looks clean. So this is a dry leaf left on the plant. If I want to save it for harvesting, I would have harvested them when they're green and then dehydrated them. Just eating the leaf like this, I do feel a hotness in my mouth, so some of that hangs out in the plant. It's kind of cool. My mouth is almost a little bit on fire right now. But this is a really good way to, get more, once again, those protective plant properties, the plant, phytochemicals and phytonutrients in you, because who knows what that thing that heats up my mouth, what that does inside your body. Is it anti-cancer? Is it anti-diabetes? Is it anti-inflammatory? I don't know. And maybe one day there'll be research on all the different plants on what exactly they have been used for or what they can be used for. But what I do know is that, many cultures throughout history have used many plants for many different situations. I haven't actually looked up to see what this was used for traditionally, because this is before we had drugs and medicine that you go to a pharmacy to get, Pharmacy. you'd go out to your farm, F-A-R-M-A-C-Y, to harvest the plants. So that's what I want to encourage you guys to do. Anyways, harvesting the seeds on these guys are really easy. You know, I grew one plant 2 years ago, and it went to seed, and I didn't really even see the seeds. And then next year, this whole bed was like overgrown with these guys, and I'm like, oh, just let them grow. But if I let these seeds drop, and I'm sure plenty of them have dropped already, you know, next year this bed will probably just be entirely water pepper, because it is, you know, it grows like a weed. And those are the things that you want to grow, you know, not weed. You want to grow plants that grow like weeds so you could harvest them and eat them and then share the seeds, especially plants that are kind of rare like this that you don't see too often. So, you know, once again, what I'm going to do in this situation is just, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off to demonstrate, but I could just do it with the plant sitting here. We cut this guy off, and now you guys could see here on the ends, all these little things here, that's the seeds. So I just got a little bin here, and I'm going to go over the bin and just take my fingers and, you know, brush out the seeds. And they're just going to fall into my bin, and now I could collect the seeds and save them. Now all the rest of the plant parts get composted, and I will be composting these to turn into soil to feed these seeds. So yes, this is the water pepper. Once again, really easy to save the seeds. Just go here and twist them all off. And yeah, I see a bunch of the seeds in there. Alright, next let's go to the last few crops I'm going to share with you guys how to save the seeds. The next one is actually a fruit. So the next kind of seed I want to show you guys how to save is super simple, super easy. It's pepper seed. So this bed was my summer pepper bed, and I since actually cut it down, left all the roots of the plants in the ground. I haven't gotten yet to re-amend and then replant this for the winter time. But you can see here we just got some random peppers that have been on the ground outside dehydrating on the ground here, and so that's one of them right here. So to save pepper seeds is really easy. You could even go to the grocery store and get fully developed ripe peppers, and once again we want to make sure they're ripe peppers, so you can't really save the seeds off green peppers because they're not fully developed. Green peppers are simply red, orange, or yellow peppers that are not fully ripe, so I encourage you guys to eat ripe peppers. Anyways, here's our little pepper that we got, and we're just going to go ahead and tear this guy open, and look at that. On the inside there's all these seeds, and it's the fruit that protects the seeds, right? And so we can just take these seeds out, and we can just spread them out into the garden and have pepper plants next year. You know, inside the pepper, these seeds are a tad bit moist, so I might want to like just put them inside of the greenhouse for a couple of days to dry out. But these are ready to be saved. So like if I have damaged pepper seeds or damaged peppers that are not able to be eaten by me, say there's bug holes or they look kind of messed up, they're moldy, I will use those to save those ones for seeds and save the good ones for me to eat. Of course, you know, one of the things when you eat the peppers, you could also take out the seeds to save them, you know, so you could eat them and save the seeds. A lot of times I like to just actually grind up the seeds and get the nutrition from the seeds into me, plus they add a nice hot flavor to things like my, you know, pizzas and sauces that I make. So yeah, it's super simple, super easy to save seeds. Open up the fruits, get the seeds out, make sure they're fully mature, and then actually make sure they're dry if you are going to be saving them. So the next seeds I'm going to save are from another fruit that I grew in the summer that has since gone the way of the west. And that's these guys right here. There's a bunch of them right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. Here's some more right here. Whoop. This is okra. So I love okra. It's one of my favorite summer vegetables. It grows really well here in the hot desert climate. Loves the temperatures, makes lots of pods. I like to harvest the pods when they're in their baby and young stage, and that's when I just eat them raw. You know, put them into salads, add them to soups. I've even pickled okra this past year. Pickled okra, man, the baby stuff, not when it's too mature, it's like so delicious, right? And so what we're gonna do is now we're gonna go ahead and save the seeds. So we're just gonna cut off one of these pods here. And if you look, the okra actually will even start to split on you. So if you guys could see that, like it's starting to split, you could see all the seeds lined up in there. It's kind of like a little factory. I mean, this is the seed pod. It's a seed factory. It's making seeds. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're just going to go ahead and open this guy up very carefully over a little bin. And as you guys can see, all the seeds are dropping out. And when we're done with that, we're left with the okra pod that now gets composted. But before it gets composted, you could use this as a special toys in the bedroom. Or a witch's claw. Ah, my pretty! Alright, so yeah, that's saving the okra seeds. Super simple, super easy. I have massive amounts of okra seeds, just mixed varieties, you know. Some of the things I like to label the varieties, and so I know what variety it is. A lot of times I don't really care about the varieties for me personally, because I'm not trying to like keep this genetic diversity. I want to create new diversity, so by allowing my seeds and different varieties that I grow here to pollinate and mix, I'm coming up with, you know, different and new genetic varieties that have adapted to my climate here. So that's what I enjoy doing, although I know there's some diehard seed savers out there preserving certain genetics, and hey, I think that's cool too, but of course making new ones is you know, the funnest for me. Plus I'm not really into labeling and all this stuff. You know, I just like to just have seeds to grow, and as long as it makes edible food, I'm happy with that. So the next seeds I'm gonna save are these guys right here. This is known to me originally as leaf ginseng, and then later I looked it up and it's known as the Suriname spinach. And what these guys are, I don't know if you guys could see that, but it's like, it almost blends in with the background since this is not a really best shot, but it's right here. You guys can see this is just basically the stalk of the plants, and they have these little balls on the end, and it's inside these little balls are the seeds, and each one of these balls is actually a little seed pod. So we're going to go ahead and take one of these balls out very carefully, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take my hand and crush it, and watch my hand here. So you see on my hand now, there's these little tiny itsy bitsy seeds. If you guys are familiar with the grain teff, like these seeds are probably about as small or even smaller than teff seeds, which are actually quite small on their own. So we're just going to go ahead and carefully save these guys in a little container. These guys will be really easy to sift out because they'll fit through like a, you know, sieve from my kitchen to get rid of all the chaff and all the seed pods and all this kind of stuff. So the leaf ginseng or Suriname spinach is actually another really good heat-tolerant leafy green to grow in the summertime here in Las Vegas, and it grows really easy. Like, I bought this plant once from a seller down in San Diego at Vista Farmers Market in San Diego area, and I took it home and I grew it, and it grew. I put it in my greenhouse and it just grew there, and then it actually went to seed and sprouted in an unheated greenhouse. It grew year-round. Went to seed. It dropped seeds in some of my potted plants in my greenhouse. I brought some of those plants here, I planted them, and then randomly I'd have the leaf ginseng or Suriname spinach come up on me. So like this right here is a 100% volunteer plant. I did not plant it. I don't even know how the seed got here, but now I'm happy to be saving seeds off this so I could grow this in a much larger way in this upcoming year, because this is another heat tolerant crop. So if you live in the tropics, or if you live in a place where it's really hot in the summer, South Florida, you know, places that you have problems growing lettuce, you want to grow the Suriname spinach as well as the next seed that I'll be harvesting right behind me. So actually, let me go ahead and show you guys the last seed I'll be harvesting in my garden today. So the last seed I'll be harvesting today in this episode is this guy right here. And I don't know if you guys could see that on the video. I don't know what it looks like for you in HD, but basically you could see there's all these like little seed pod things hanging from the plant. There's just so many of them. This thing is like just so prolific in the seed pods, and in the summertime it was also very prolific in the greens that it produced. This is known as the red stem Malabar spinach, and it makes delicious edible leaves that are really mild flavored, that have a nice red stem. This was beautiful over the summer. It filled this trellis. It's only like a 4 feet tall trellis really nicely, and even wanted to grow taller. So next year I'll have to even get a taller trellis for it to grow, because I'm sure it'll fill that too. And at the end of the season, I was blessed with all these berries to eat. I'll post a link down below to a video where actually I juiced the really antioxidant rich berry juice, and drank that, and it was amazing drink, lots of antioxidants, and I'm sure it did my body a lot of good. But now that the season's over and the plants dried out, and I didn't harvest all the berries, it made also tons of seed pods. And so all these on a stem are just like all seeds, and I can now take these off and grow these for next year, or share those with you guys. I mean, seed saving is really easy. You know, if you are into really seed saving, I do recommend living in an arid climate. It makes seed saving significantly easier. You don't have to worry about mold and dampness and wetness and all this kind of stuff. But even in a, you know, a moist climate where you get a lot more moisture and humidity, you know, you can still do seed saving. You just got to maybe, you know, dry the seeds out a little bit and wait till the weather's nice to harvest your seeds, and not when it's all wet and all this kind of stuff. All right, so once again, seed saving, not rocket science. If you could go out and you could see, oh, those are seeds, oh, they're dry, oh, they're ready, you know, you could save seeds too. And of course, yes, there are some seeds that are more difficult to save than others, but I think the main message of this video is that I want you guys to save your seeds and share your seeds with others so that they could grow, you know, healthy crops so you guys could eat out of your gardens instead of out of the grocery store. Now, the final thing I'd like to say in this episode, I don't have a lot of some of the seeds that I shared with you guys today on how to harvest to share with you guys, but I do have actually a lot of the Malabar spinach seeds. I've been harvesting a whole bunch with some help here today, and these are all the seeds I've got so far, and I still got like half the trellis to harvest out. So if you want to get some of my seeds that I grew with the rock dust, with the good soil here, that's more climatized to the hot desert than other varieties of Malabar spinach that just made me mail ordering, be sure to check that link down below. I'm going to put this on my Fiverr campaign, so you know, for $5 I'll ship you some Malabar spinach seeds, and then you'll be able to grow them yourself. And the $5 that you give me for the seeds, I will not take a penny out of that. I will use all that money to get my videos transcribed so that people that are hearing impaired or that live in foreign countries that don't understand English can get that automatically transcribed into their language so that they could have access to my very important videos in this day and age. So once again, check the link down below, you know, for that. So that pretty much brings me to the end of this episode. If you guys like this episode, saw how to save 10 different varieties of seeds, hey, please give me a thumbs up to let me know I'll be doing more seed saving episodes in the future when I have different seeds to harvest, because it happens like all the time here. And also be sure to check that subscribe button right down below to be notified of my new and upcoming episodes. I have new and upcoming episodes coming out every 3 to 4 days. And of course, be sure to check my past episodes. I have over 1,100 episodes at this time to share with you guys how you guys could grow your own food at home. And I also travel all over to visit all kinds of farms and cool places all around the country and around the world. So once again, my name is John Kohler with GrowingYourGreens.com. We'll see you next time, and until then, remember, keep on growing. All right, this is John Kohler with GrowingYourGreens.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. And where I'm at today, I'm here in Monterey County, Carmel area. And why I'm here today is actually I'm in a